Yo, what's going on, guys? Wattlemarmelon back again, and today I'm going to be showing off the team that got me to both veteran and top 250 in the world. And it's kind of funny, Shadow Sableye is a Pokemon that I spent a lot of Stardust and 360 XLs to build, and so I wanted to find a team that I could use Shadow Sableye with. I wasn't able to find that or find the right one in the Open Great League, but in this Willpower Cup, Shadow Sableye is one of the best Pokemon, and so I paired it up with Shadow Annihilate and Claydol in the back, and I've had a lot of success with this team. I honestly don't usually play limited cups that frequently. Last season, I barely played any of them at all, and I was planning to not really play the limited cups, but a couple days ago, I got a field research where I needed to win a Go Battle League game to get some Keldeo candy, and you know what? I played Willpower Cup, and I was like, this isn't too bad. I actually enjoyed it despite the fact that it has such a limited meta. Funny thing, you should probably run Ice Beam on your Claydol or Shadow Ball, but I'm just running low on charge TMs, and basically I don't want to waste my charge TMs on my Claydol because it has so many moves it can learn. I don't want to deal with that. You can see here, I was afraid that they would have a Charmer or a Fairy type in the back, and so luckily I do bait it out. It's still a little bit dicey because of how much damage I'm going to take, but I was able to get this off. This is going to knock out the Hatterene, and I'm in okay shape. Can I survive? And I do survive, and I get the Rage Fist. This is going to knock them out, and that's a nice GG right there. Shadow Annihilate is really good. You might wonder, how do I handle the Dark Flyers? If it's on the lead and it's a Mandibuzz, I actually just go straight Power Gem on my Sableye. Oftentimes they don't shield the second one because they're expecting a foul play, and that is what it is. You can see here that one, I get a 15, 15, 14 Inkay, but this gets me to veteran. Then I actually have a 5-0, and so I'm going to show off all the games in the 5-0 after this. But Shadow Annihilate is just a broken Pokemon, and it allows you to just power through almost any Pokemon, and that's no different. That's no different with things like Murkrow that you might be like, how does your team deal with Murkrow? It's good into your whole team. That's true, but you just go Shadow Annihilate, and yes, you might end up going down a shield or have something like that, losing some amount of advantage. But typically if they have a Shadow Murkrow, there's going to be something in the back like a Pawniard or a Morpeko that you can really deal with quite well. Ice Fang Drapion is a Pokemon that I absolutely can't stand, but luckily I think they threw an alignment there, and so I was able to get off an extra Mud Slap, and that essentially means that they only get one Aqua Tail off. That means I'm going to be able to get a Rock Tomb, and that puts me in the driver's seat moving forward. Here we go, back into Shadow Sableye, which is just such a fun Pokemon to use. Honestly, I guess I'll talk about this season's meta a bit because it's very interesting. I just watched the Pittsburgh event, and Bastiodon ended up winning the tournament, which I hate Bastiodon. Like, I can't express how much I dislike that Pokemon, and due to changes in the meta, that Pokemon has become very good all of a sudden, which is something that I hate. Additionally, Mud Slap, I wanted Mud Slap nerfed. I thought it was going to get nerfed, and instead they took the two best Mud Slappers in Shadow Kanto Marowak and Gastrodon, and they buffed them both by buffing their spread moves. And even despite the fact that the Mud Slappers are now extraordinarily powerful, like both Gastrodon and Shadow Kanto Marowak, in my opinion, are S-tier Pokemon, legitimately at the top of the meta. They're even extremely popular in the tournaments, the Show 6 Pick 3 events as well. They're just so powerful. And despite that, Bastiodon is still one of the best Pokemon in the game right now. And so that's a bit frustrating for me. If they were able to take care of Bastiodon and Mud Slappers, I think this meta would be a ton of fun. I think it has a lot of very dynamic Pokemon, things like Togekiss, Jirachi, Murkrow, Shadow Charizard. Charizard's my favorite Pokemon. I know, very original, but it hasn't been good since I really got into Pokemon Go PvP. It was good like the first season, but ever since Wing Attack got nerfed, it just hasn't been as strong. And even before that, it just wasn't as strong. I forget exactly what the reason was. Maybe it just fell out of the meta, but basically, Shadow Charizard is back in a big way. I have a pretty decent Shadow Charizard with Ember on it, and I'm gonna try to hit Legend with Shadow Charizard. I've made a condition on myself that I will not use the same, I will not repeat any Pokemon that I hit Legend with. And so last season it was Lapras, Diggersby, and Shadow Typhlosion. And then the season before that, it was Claydol, Morpeko, and Blastoise. So, and then, there are Pokemon before that. Annihilate, I've used Goodra, Talonflame, Magnezone, Azumarill, Lickitung. I think that's all the times I've hit Legend. I've hit it the last 4 seasons. So I won't use any of those on my Legend push. But Shadow Charizard is one that I'm really happy is available. And I have a pretty decent team, I think, where I've been using Abomasnow, Shadow Charizard, and then Empoleon. Or Shadow Empoleon. I may have to switch that around a bit. I'm so weak to Bastiodon that just with the amount of Bastiodon that I see, it doesn't make me feel particularly comfortable. Additionally, Annihilate is a problem for the team. There's just a lot of Pokemon that cause problems for that team, and so I may need to swap out Empoleon for something like that's a better safe swap like Cradily, but we'll see what it ends up being. All to say that, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. I need to find a way to avoid Bastiodon like the plague. One of the things is that I wasn't running into a ton of Bastiodon, but as the season goes on and people get more desperate to reach, higher elo, they start using that stuff that really frustrates everybody because is there skill in using Bastiodon? Of course, but it's also something that players who don't have a lot of skill, they're not going to be able to reach Legend, but it allows them to cheese out wins. And for someone who does have some skill, you can still cheese out wins that you otherwise wouldn't. I just don't like Bastiodon because it is a Pokemon that I consider to be anti-fun. And so I'm just hoping I don't have to deal with a bunch of Bastiodon. We'll see what the meta ends up like. But let me know what you guys think about this season. Overall, as I said, there's a lot of cool stuff that's now in the meta, including things like Charizard that I think make the season a lot of fun. If Bastiodon stays on the sidelines, I think this season's going to be a banger. If Bastiodon ends up becoming as popular as some of these Mud Slappers, even with the Mud Slappers alone, I've already gotten kind of tired of it. Like Gastrodon, Shadow Kanto Marowak, I don't know if I can handle those things anymore. It's just, I don't know. I've reached a point in my life where I see a Shadow Kanto Marowak and I roll my eyes. It's just like, come on. And Gastrodon is also a frustrating Pokemon. And then there are other things as well. Like, for example, Corviknight is one that it reminds me a lot of the old Skarmory, albeit it has like a very different role on the team. The Steel Flying subtyping with decent bulk makes Corviknight, I think, a bit of a pain to play against. And it has such fast pacing on the air cutters, which is also annoying. But luckily, Charizard with Ember has a pretty good matchup into Corviknight. And the fun thing about Shadow Charizard with Ember is that it paces to air cutters so quickly that after just 4 air cutters, you can bait a move. And very few Pokemon take Blast Burn well, and so you can often get shields using your air cutter, and air cutter has the chance of a boost. It's such a fun Pokemon to play. Like, I always try to find Pokemon that are fun. I never want to use things like Clodsire or Shadow Kanto Marowak or Bastiodon. I just view those Pokemon as really boring, and so the team I have right now, it might not be perfect, it might not be the thing I hit legend with, but man, is it a fun team. And I think a fun, good team is what I want to use to reach legend. So overall, pretty happy. I'm starting to, I think this is my last game. You can see I have a Mandibuzz, or I have a Annihilate into Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is big trouble for my team, but I am boosted, got a Ice Punch off, and I'm going to be able to combo play with the Rock Tomb, and you'll see that I do reach 2577, which is, I think, rank 224, something like that on the leaderboards. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you guys think of the season. It's been your boy Watomar Melon. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.